Well, today I'm in Bloemfontein, the birthplace of J.R.R. Tolkien, famous for his books The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. In fact, the place I'm staying at is called The Hobbit, and it's claimed to be the actual birthplace where Tolkien was born. I'm here with two of my fellow witness bearers. That's my preferred term to whistleblower, because it includes me, because they have borne witness to the abuse of power and corrupt practices, whilst I have the privilege of bearing witness to these extraordinary people of the extraordinary integrity and courage who are speaking truth to power. Well, Alison Tilley, who is one of the pioneers of protecting and supporting whistleblowers, made a point recently at a gathering of NGOs and justice monitors on how we can better support whistleblowers. And she said that when anyone speaks truth to power and doesn't get into trouble, well, it probably wasn't true, or it probably wasn't real power. So it seems to come with the territory. If truth matters to you, you're going to find yourself up against power, which is why I find it so serendipitous to be at Tolkien's birthplace. Looking over Gandalf's room, which is one of the rooms in this marvelous guest house named after all the different characters, because the key to understanding Tolkien is to realize that he really understood the truth about power, that it's deeply seductive and corrupting. And the ring in The Lord of the Rings symbolizes that desire to possess power and to acquire this ultimate power, which of course is why it's so necessary to have proper checks and balances. Now, Friedrich Nietzsche never had the benefit of reading Tolkien, and I found myself wondering that if he had, his book, Beyond the Good and Evil, would have turned out very differently, because he writes that the will to power is something which is the primary, and as far as he was concerned, the only real way of explaining why human beings behave they do. He says, any living and not a dying body will have to be an incarnate will to power. It will strive to grow, to spread, to seize, to become predominant, not from any morality or immorality, because it is living and because life simply is will to power. Well, Tolkien deconstructed that idea in his books, and his story shows that there is an incarnate will to something else, something more transcendent, the incarnate will to love and to truth. Well, it's my joy to actually have two people who do really incarnate that will to truth and to justice and to love. Siziwe Cuka and Patricia Mashale, who's one of my most blessed people, and I think you came dressed for the occasion. She is the person that got the Mashale Train going. But Patricia, so what's the Mashale Train all about?
John, thank you for having me and welcome to Bloemfontein. I didn't know about this beautiful place and I was born in Bloemfontein. So yes, the Mashale Train, John. When I started to report corruption in SAPS to the former National Commissioner, I got inquiries from previous members who were also dismissed from the service after they heard that I was highlighting the fact that regulation, the SAPS Discipline Regulation 9 was being used as a punishment to dismiss members. No procedures were followed, and members were just dismissed without being given the chance to represent themselves in a federal. So these dismissed members started to contact me, and I requested their documents, and I saw that exactly what happened to me has been happening to them. No procedures at all was followed. So now I established a group of these unlawfully dismissed members. So members across South Africa started to join this group. I didn't name the group the Mashale Train. I named it SAPS, Members for Change. And yes, along the way, while we were gaining momentum into exposing the corruption that was happening in SABS, the group got this name, the Mashale Train.
Now, in a democracy, you would think of the police as being the guarantors of the rule of law and the Bill of Rights. So are you saying that internally within the SAPS, they have procedures that basically get rid of people without proper due process and without the normal basics that you would expect of any fair justice system? Is that what's happening?
Absolutely. In the South African Police Service, the law book has been thrown out of the window. They don't follow procedures. They don't follow the Labor Relations Act. It's like a tuck shop. It's like a tuck shop belonging to some higher senior management, whereby whenever they decide they're going to dismiss you, they just dismiss you without following proper procedure.
Now, you actually out on bail, I learned this morning. I still find it hard to get my head around what happened on Tuesday. Can you just run us through when you appeared in court, having been charged with harassment, and the magistrate changed things in the court and said, you are now under arrest, this is a bail hearing?
Yes, John, as you remember, there was instructions issued by Major General Aletheia to arrest me after the broadcasting of the Cutting Edge show.
There was no one who listens to me. There was not absolutely no one who listens to me.
They can kill me. They can, but I will not die silently. I will keep on making noise until they will silence my voice.
So I got a call from my lawyer to say there's a warrant for my arrest because of that program, and that but he made arrangement with a investigation officer that we meet at the detective's office on Tuesday so that I can be formally charged. As you know, the charges against me is allegations of spreading false information about the SAPS management. There's the charges. And then on Tuesday, there was also a warrant of arrest for my husband on the same charges, whereby the police went to my house. It was a huge police presence. My little son was so frightened. He locked himself in the house, he locked the gate, and he took a video from through the window from inside the house of this police where some of the police officers attempted to jump over the gate.
Patricia, let me interrupt you there. I'm now going to play that video for
Mashale of Edison and Edison and Mashale praat met hulle daar. Ja.
So you're saying this is what, your 11-year-old son?
Yes, my 11-year-old son.
Having to now have a whole bunch of police officers turning up at your home. But he seemed to have gone out the gates, and he seems to have had a measure of courage. He doesn't sound like a frightened little 10-year-old that I would imagine. You've obviously brought your children up to have confidence.
Yes, John. After his sisters arrived at home, because I had to call them to urgently go home because he was alone with my brother at home, and the both of them were now behind the closed gates and doors and didn't know what to do. So yes, what I can say, I armed my children to know how to act in situations like this. So my two daughters arrived at home, and they confronted the investigation officer as to what is he doing with such a huge police presence at home, and he said he was there to arrest the father. They demanded the warrant of arrest, which he never produced. And then when my boys saw these two sisters are outside, is when they opened the door in the gate, and now he went out of the gate, and then he proceeded with the video that he showed of the police.
We have a crime problem in this country. You know, we need to have visible policing in all sorts of places. but yet they have a whole bunch of them turning up at your home. One of the other people that jumped on the train with you, and I'm very proud to say, Siziwe Cuka, is a social worker. Now, you know that a country is in trouble when social workers get harassed, arrested, and intimidated and experience retaliation for doing their jobs. After all, it's about children. We've spoken about your children and how you've armed them. And Siziwe, I know that you're a person that has a passion for ensuring that we prevent the sort of chronic pathology in our society by working with children. How did you find yourself on the Mashale Train?
Thank you so much, John. I found myself in Mashale Train on the day in October, 29th October 2021. In my working environment, no one listened to me in terms of the complaints that I was complaining regarding my boss, to an extent that there were 2 grievances that I made regarding the boss who is manipulating the statistics, and with the same boss who is not doing my PEP. PEP is the performance and enhancement that is being done quarterly in a working environment. So she was not doing it. So I decided to join the community march, writing my placard that is saying I am having the boss that is opening cases against me, plus minus 23 cases that she opened against me, the disciplinary cases, including the criminal case that she opened of the criminal injury. She opened 1 case in 3 places. She opened at work as a disciplinary. She opened at criminal court, and then also she opened it at the domestic violence court at Tepong. So I decided, let me just join the community. Maybe when I am part of the community, I'm gonna be heard by my bosses. There was a community march, so I decided to join the community march. That is where I met Patricia. But unfortunately, me joining the community, that makes me to be dismissed.
But it wasn't just dismissed. I mean, there's that video also that you circulated of you being basically put in leg irons. Tell us what was happening there?
John, that was a very sad part of it, because when I went to court that day, I was with my son. And my son had to experience, fortunately, he was in the car at that time when they were putting the leg irons on me. I had to organize one of the colleagues to take him home. The reason why they put me on leg irons, I was supposed to go at court on the 25th of March, which I forgot to go to court because of the dismissal that I received on the 16th of March. So I was still, my head was still spinning. So I forgot about that one. Then they came on the 13th to serve me with the warrant of arrest. But the investigating officer told me that I have to go to court the following day to see the prosecutor. Then when I go to court the following day at 8 o'clock, the prosecutor, Claudia Mahluko, she just looked at me and then she said, put her into cells. She did not even want to listen. She just said I must be put into cells, and they put me on leg irons. When I went to court, they found that there is no charge sheet in the docket. So I had to wait for something like 2 hours waiting for the charge sheet that was not in the docket.
So they ended up releasing you. The basis of our criminal justice system is that you are innocent until proven guilty. It would seem to me that there's an abuse of that legal process by using procedure as a way of actually frustrating and intimidating. What is the effect being of now finding common cause with other people in the South African police services? And how did you feel about, is this a comfortable ride on the Mashale Train?
It is. It is. I have been in this abuse of power in a working environment for the past 7 years. It started in 2015. So at some point, they closed my mouth. In 2016, I was just seated in the office alone. No one was allowed to come to me. And then they ended up telling me, I think it was in 2019, that when they come to my office, they had to sneak because they did not want to be seen with me. So I was in that situation of being sidelined in the office. When there are meetings of the officers, I'm told that go out of my meeting by the provincial head. Then I wouldn't mind, I was just going out of the meeting. The reason why he was chasing me out of the meeting, he did not want people that are arguing. In my understanding, the meeting form is where we are going to discuss the issues of the office. But now, he wanted to tell people what to do and what not to do, the autocratic kind of system that he was using. So I would raise my hand and ask a question or suggest. So he did not want that. I remember at some point he was having this meeting, and after the meeting, one of the captains came to me and asked, what is the difference between the forensic social worker and the social worker of social development? And I said, but you people, you chased me out of the meeting. Now you want to know the difference of the difference between the forensic social worker and the social development. But I told him the reason with all this, it was because of my boss. There was an advert in 2013 whereby they were advertising 2 positions of the full colonel post and the lieutenant colonel post. Then I was qualifying in both posts, but she ended up getting the full colonel post, which initially she did not apply for it. Then she was told that she must send her CV. One of the colonels who's on pension now was the one who was telling the story that she did not apply. She was informed by the provincial head that she must tell the lady that she must send her CV, which she did not apply because she knew that she's not qualifying. Then, but when we were working together, I didn't know that she was not qualifying. But when you are working with someone, like there are some things that you are able to observe. I asked her, so where do you put your cases in the office? She said that actually I wanted to know whether she is doing the assessment that we are doing or not. Then she said to me, no, I am not doing the work that is being done at the unit level. Then I was shocked with that kind of a response, because in my understanding, our work at the provincial office starts at the unit level. And so if someone who is the boss can give me such a response that she's not doing the work that is being at the unit level, it means that she does not understand our purpose of being employed as the forensic social workers at SAPS. Because she's my boss, I have to respect her, and trying to assist her, I said to her, when I found that she has never done the assessment, how about carrying at least 2 cases so that you can be able to learn the kind of the job that we are doing as the forensic social workers. It's not going to be easy for her, but I did not put it that way, that it's not going to be easy for you to supervise people without the experience. But I was just trying to make her to understand that she has to learn the job so that she can be able to do the inspections, to do the supervision in a job that she has having the knowledge and understanding of. So she refused. It was in 2015 that time. Then us working together, and now we were just splitting in terms of the work. And in terms of understanding the job, that create a big crack. The crack that made the provincial head to step in. Him stepping in, he was stepping in because he wanted to protect my boss. That time when he was protecting, I didn't know that they are related. But as the crack was becoming bigger and bigger, that is when I heard from other colleagues that no, they are related. And the issues of her being employed in the position of being the commander, they came out. And with the fact that the social workers that were already on the field, they were not even shortlisted in the post that we went to. So according to them, the people that were on their panels, maybe they decided to take me as an outsider because I was coming from Eastern Cape, thinking that when they are employing me, I'm not going to be loud as compared to the people that were already on the stream. So little did they know that they
big mistake.
they have done a mistake by taking.
She didn't know that you knew this lady. So it was a case of irregular appointment and deployment and nepotism. That because you were good at your job, you became a threat to that system, and as a result they had to retaliate and get you out.
Yes.
And you have now basically been fired.
Yes.
And you are facing this extraordinary, what seems to be a trumped-up charge of crime and injuria. And this morning we were in court together. Your lawyer's saying to me that looks very much like it's hopefully going to go your way. But that really isn't the point as much as what it does to you and your... I mean, I want to see you in the profession doing work. I mean, the social workers have got so much work to do. And South Africa is in such a crisis. You shouldn't be having to sit all your time trying to find first money to pay your lawyers and having to fight this battle. It's just ridiculous. How do you feel? So what's going to happen in the future? How can the public of South Africa support you? Because they're going to all watch this.
Okay, let me just go back a little bit, John, in terms of how I ended up being out of the service. She constructed all these cases against me, the disciplinary cases whereby I was suspended 3 times. It was 2 months without pay, 2019, what is it, April, May 2019, suspension without pay, again in 2020, another 2 months, and again in 2020-2021, another 2 months suspension without pay, which it makes 6 months without a salary. And in that process, they also wanted to transfer me. When I came back on the first suspension, General Makubo was the one who was pioneering that I must be transferred to EHW. I refused, to an extent that I ended up communicating with General Njia, which I did wrote a complaint to her, but she never responded to it. And now I was so surprised when she was writing the correspondence that says that I must be transferred to EHW without her listening to my story. See, she never even listened to my story. She didn't even want to entertain listening to my story. So that was the cases, me being transferred. At some point, I think it was 2016, I received a phone call from the anonymous person who said he's a general. There's a post that they wanted to give it to me at DPCI of the full kernel post. Now he even taught me how to answer the phone without other people listening to the conversation. So I asked him, is it clean? Because I would understand how these things are working. I asked him, is this post that you're telling me, is it clean? Then he said to me, I must not, the reason why I was asking the question whether is it clean, he said to me, don't tell anyone. Immediately when he said don't tell anyone, I said, I said to him, no, I am going to tell someone. The person that was in my mind, it was General Mki, because he used to be my my commander in the Eastern Cape. So I had him in mind that I have to tell him that now they are giving me the post, and they did not even advertise the post. So actually before he said that to me, he said, he understands that there's a case that has been opened at IPD regarding my situation with Colonel Monose. The post that Monose has was supposed to be my post. And now the case that is at IPD, they are working on it.
Now, who reported that?
It's the general that called me, the one that wanted to give me the position at
I see. So he was now taking it.
Yes. So now he said to me, okay, now they want to give me the post at DPCI. I asked him, when you are saying that Monose, the post that Monose has, was supposed to be my post, don't you think that at DPCI there is someone who is supposed to get the post, who qualifies to be in the post, like the similar?
You don't make two wrongs, don't make a right.
Yes,
You know, don't compound your problem by actually doing another irregular
No,
point.
I asked him, don't you think that at DPCI there's someone who qualifies to be in the position that you want to put me in? And then he said he was going to call me again at 4:30 to give me the reference number of the post that he wanted to give it to me. I waited up until 10 to 5. He never called me. I think he saw that it's not going to work. He said, when I said I'm going to tell, he said, you dare touch me, something like that. But he threatened me on the phone. But I was like, I was not afraid of him because firstly I don't know him. So I had to be bold on the phone by saying, no, I am going to tell. And if you think that you are going to threaten me on the phone, or you think that I'm going to chip in on the post that you promised me of the full kennel because of the money, no, I'm not that kind of a person. As long as we are doing the right things right. Then ended up being on this one that we...
Yeah, today about the crime and injury. But now tell quickly, just this is about social workers talking about, we have a professional body, counts for social workers, and that should be the recourse people have if you acted unprofessionally. When I meet clients, I say, look, if any way you have any complaints against what I do, that's your recourse. You lodge a complaint and I will be disciplined and I might, whatever happens. But what happened with you in that one? Because they did try that too as part of retaliation, but it backfired. Tell us about the whole process with the council.
Okay, my boss opened the case first in 2017. She opened the case in 2017. She said to me, we were in her office, she was just carrying this brown big envelope. And when we were talking, you would say I was a social worker. I did not understand what was it that she was saying. She was saying that having this brown envelope, you will say I was a social worker. I think a month or two after that, I received a correspondence that was coming from the council with the complaints that are being laid by her. There were 24 things that she stated on that. I answered each and every point that she gave. Then I sent it back to them. Then I think after a month it came back. They saying that no, they don't see a case against me. I opened a case again against her in 2019, and then there was a COVID. There was a point where we went to the council in Pretoria. Then when we were there, she came with 2 big files. So whilst I was waiting there, one of the manager called me inside, and then he told me that no, we are not going to have the proceedings because the complainant is saying is not ready. I don't understand it. But by the way, the person who's not ready, is the person who came, he's my boss. How can she say that she's not ready, whereas we are already here? And that time, that was the time, I was already on the suspension month. I was not going to get paid. When she went there, she definitely used the resource of the state. Me going there, I was using the money that I did not even have. Once they organized the Zoom meeting, she said no, she's unable. They gave me the response that said no, she's not available. And then the third one, she's not available. She was not available all the way. Then I asked them again, I think for after that, my third suspension, that what is happening, because I opened the case and then they told me, they gave me the response that says that she is not available. There's absolutely nothing that they can do because she does not want to avail herself.
If I may offer a sort of a interpretation, because you know, as as social workers, we're not there to judge, we're there to try and understand and create insight. And let me give you what theory is forming in my mind as to what's happening here. I'm really concerned, that our democracy is at risk if we can't have the rule of law and if the police are not doing their jobs, if they're doing exactly the opposite. I once had a conversation with Kada Asmal, who's famous as a human rights lawyer, who was one of the people who drafted the Constitution, who was very proud of the fact that we had changed in 1994 the whole culture of the police from a police force to a police service, where we got rid of military rank as being the basis of organizing, command. He was devastated when I spoke to him before he died to see how that had been completely reversed. Completely the wrong way of dealing with that will to power that Nietzsche talks about. I mean, Nietzsche was right in as much as, yes, there is amongst many the sense that they can only get anywhere if they have the power to do it. And then they interpret that power as power over, formalized positional power, which they then use as a way of actually maintaining their own interests. So we're not actually a democracy, we're what we call an oligarchy. Those who have power are the ones who determine who gets access to it. So I see what's happening to you is what they call the iron law of oligarchy at work. And they'll say, well, of course, the police is not a democracy. No, but it has to preeminently be responsible for ensuring that power is not abused. And you have IPID, which is supposed to investigate these things, but they all report to the Minister of Police. Our president doesn't want to fire him from the cabinet because, this man's going to bring him political power. Because the will to power, unfortunately, the president is a victim of that. But not really, because you are the victims of that. We are the people that are scapegoated and made to suffer. Brené Brown, a fellow social worker, has this wonderful insight.
We hate the word power. God, we hate the word power. Let me give you a simple definition of power from Martin Luther King. Power is just the ability to affect change. For somehow we have come to the belief, not just in this country, because I work all over the world, that power is finite. That if I share some with Olivia and Genia, that's 2 pieces of a pie of 8. And now I only have 6/8 of that pie left. It's a zero-sum game. But that is not power. That is power over. And power over is finite, for sure. And I think what we're witnessing across the world today is power over's last stand. We are picturing really fearful, desperate people saying, I am afraid to move from a world of power over to power with and power to shared power. A belief in power that's infinite, a belief that power doesn't run out, it's not zero sum. There is no evidence anywhere that power over is effective. Because when we lead and when we act, and even when we parent from a position of power over, we by definition disempower people who have great experiences, ideas, and stories to bring to the table.
Okay, so there's Brené saying that power with and power for is an infinitely renewable resource. Power over is finite. And when people speak truth to it, and if it is really true, if it's really power, the only response power has is to retaliate, is to try and suppress it, because they have no answer to the truth. Because one of the intoxicating effects of power, and that's what Tolkien wrote about, and that's in the sense you understand the whole Lord of the Rings, is that you lose touch with reality. Because power affects the brain by an intoxication of dopamine. We call it the dopamine effect. And to say, if I were to ever have to do a social work report, probation officer's report for Jacob Zuma, I would want to plead for some lenience for the fact that this guy's got so intoxicated with power, he's lost touch with reality. Please be gentle on him. So I'm not saying this in a judgmental way. I'm saying that this seems to be the contagion that's developed in our country, and which the ruling party can only maintain itself if it plays this game. And I see both of you particularly your story, illustrates how it happens. That this woman's not very competent in her job, doesn't know what she's doing. Here you have somebody who knows what they should be doing, who becomes a threat to her. So either, firstly, they try and subvert you, and then they try and co-opt you by offering you another job. And you refused to play either of those games, and you stood true to yourself, and you're prepared to suffer the consequences of it. And what we are seeing is because the two of you together manifest what Brené Brown was saying, the fact that power with is an infinitely renewable resource. It multiplies the more it's shared. It's not something that runs out in the same way as top-down power. And give me your thoughts, does it make sense to you?
Yes, definitely. Coming back to my case, Sean, like you said, the unfortunate thing is it's not only happening in SAPS, it's rolled over to the NPA. And what I can say now, all we could rely on now is the judiciary. Because Siziwe and my cases are so similar. It's like you can call it non-criminal cases who are now in the court of law. Like I said, in my case, we were charged by the detective formally. We were released on a Tuesday. On Wednesday. Yesterday we appeared in court, and now the magistrate was now presenting a new legislation in terms of the Domestic Violence Act. Remember, I have a harassment case of spreading false allegations. Now here is the magistrate presenting amended legislation of the Domestic Violence Act and insisting that I be re-arrested. And my lawyer was standing, was like, how? She's already arrested yesterday and released on a warning. And she was like, no, according to the new legislation, amended legislation of the Domestic Violence Act, she should be arrested and apply for bail. And you know, the process was, so my lawyer had to go back and obtain this new amended legislation. And in my head, I was like, but how do you put this common harassment of spreading false allegations with the Domestic Violence Act under the same umbrella? Because according to my knowledge, domestic violence is a relationship between two people who are in a relationship or who are related to one another, whereby someone is getting hurt. And as we all know, domestic violence is a pandemic in South Africa. And now here I am in court being charged with now my harassment case being allegedly spreading false allegations, and now being turned into a Schedule 5 offense. And that's what she said. She said, now you are being charged with a Schedule 5 offense. I was devastated.
I mean, it does sound absurd and funny. What concerns me, though, is that it sounds so ridiculous that it's shameful. Now, that word shame, I mean, Brené Brown, her whole corpus of work as a social worker has been about shame and how internalized victimhood. She says,
and then let me tell you about powerlessness. As someone who's spent my entire career studying shame and fear, powerlessness is the most dangerous state that we can ever experience. It leads to violence, isolation, shame, self-harm.
Now, the paradox of it here is that your superiors who have abused their power are actually disempowering themselves by behaving in such ways that it makes them look like idiots. Let's face it. Now, I'm concerned, as somebody committed to peace, how do we help them? How do we empower them? I mean, this sounds ridiculous. How do you empower people that have power? How do you help them find How do you engage with them so that they can actually get insight into what's happening? Because if we keep pushing, they're going to just keep pushing back, and it'll escalate and it'll escalate. Any thoughts about how we can de-escalate?
The problem here, John, is as much as we want to engage with them, like you said, the power has affected their brains so much that they are clinging.
You need to go to rehab.
Yes, they are still clinging onto it and doing what they know best to misuse or abuse this power.
That's all they have.
Yes, and to such an effect that they don't see the wrongness of what they are doing anymore. In their head is, I still have this power, and I'm still going to use this power to achieve whatever I need to just achieve in this situation. Misusing state resources, misusing the judgment system, because we are sitting in a situation here where we're sitting with the DPP and the assistant DPP who are husband and wife, and the same two people are being used in all the criminal cases opened up against police officers. The devastation is these people are related to the management of SAPS, the same Mayor General who's opening criminal charges against him. The DPP and his wife are related to these people. And whenever you go and open a case, the DPP will not make a determination on the case that you open against SAPS management, but as soon as they come and open a harassment case against you, then you get arrested and you get re-arrested by a magistrate. I was re-arrested by the magistrate yesterday while the detective was sitting there, and I could see the devastation on his face, because now my lawyer was arguing that, Your Honor, she's already out on a warning, and the magistrate was, no, I'm arresting her again. And she was like, now you are under arrest and you are going to apply for bail again on the same charges, on the same. John, it was just crazy. And I had to apply my mind and tell people, you know what, let me be fair to her. Let me be fair to her, because it seems like she haven't read the charge sheet. Seems like she haven't read the charges against me, and she's only trying to protect herself, saying that she is under the pressure that she's dealing with domestic violence here. And let me give her the benefit of the doubt that she is protecting herself and just follow due processes.
Patricia, when people are going to say, John, come on, since when does an accused give the magistrate the benefit of the doubt? Now, I'm sorry, it just sounds absurd. But I do understand what you're saying. And I think what I'm hearing you saying is that she's in a position where she has formal power, and she is trying to come across that she's strong, that she knows what she's doing, and she's going to wield that power and basically deal with this problem of domestic violence. One day, hopefully, she'll get to watch this, and I say to whoever she is, please don't take this so personally. I'm trying to understand the dynamics.
Our same cases of being went to Tepong. The magistrate at court that day, he said, how can you, being the boss, open the case for your subordinate? That was the question. And then he said, you people at SAPS are having a problem when people are standing for their rights, because this is your subordinate. There's no way that you can feel that your subordinate is harassing you. There is no such. You're just supposed to take this matter. It is an internal matter, human resource matter, that is supposed to be discussed inside the organization.
Now, you've been a social worker who's particularly been there to empower children. Your interest is children growing up with confidence, so that they have that internalized sense of agency, of confidence. What do you make of all this? And how do we empower those who are powerful? Your boss.
In 2015, actually in all these years, I was begging her, can we please sit down and talk? That was before this whole situation went out of our office. It was not even supposed to go out of her own office because she is my boss. So when you are sitting with your subordinate, you're supposed to know how to deal with the person that you are supervising. But apparently she could not be able to deal with me. And I was trying by all means to assist her to be able to deal with me. Not in a manner that is empowering her as well.
Empathetic,
Yes.
understanding where she's from, not judging her,
I was
giving
not
her the
judging
benefit
her.
of the doubt.
She knew at the beginning I was not judging her. While I was assisting her, I was there for her to an extent that when you were doing the presentation, I would help. Okay, this is going to be your icebreaker. When you are doing the presentation, this one is going to be your icebreaker. Remember that we are working with children that are sexually abused. You must ask the investigative officers, when was the last time that you have sex? Yes. This is the job that we are doing. You suppose when you are asking them that question, you are showing them that it is not easy for you as an adult person to answer when was the last time that you had sex. How much more when you are asking that question to a child. So I was just trying to show her that,
Sensitize her to,
yes,
to the very kind of delicate situation that happens when you have sexual abuse.
I was helping her to that level. So she was enjoying at first, up until the provincial head saw that because I am having the knowledge, I was using the knowledge that I had to empower her, empower our office. So she never utilized that opportunity of using me. She should have used me. She should have used me behind the scenes.
Well, I have to say, rather selfishly, I'm kind of like pleased that I can now have you as a colleague working with me. I'm going to wrap up now. Any last thoughts you want to make before I get a closing? Anything else that needs to be said?
The SAPS management, they must just take out the mentality of, because I'm having this big rank, I am the one that is going to say, I'm the one that is going to have the last word. We are adults. When I say we are adults, even the clerk, they are very much well educated. But if you can see the way they are being treated at SAPS, they are not treated as educated adult people.
So they're second-class citizens.
Yes, clerks are not treated well. They are not treated well. These people, they're very much educated. They know the computer, they know, but the way they push the work to them, they makes them to feel that they are doing a favor for them. And it's not supposed to be like that. So if they can have the mentality of, okay, we are all adults, as much as I am the boss and the commander in this office, but if we can just sit in the round table, use the expertise of the clerk, use the expertise of the cleaner, because that person who is cleaning your office, he's the one that makes you to feel comfortable in your office. She is having a role to play. There is an exercise of the car that I once learned when I was working for Sanka, whereby this person he put the car and then he was asking, he was still telling us we must identify ourselves according to the parts of the car. And then he's saying, is there any way that the car can be able to move properly without the part in this car? So if we can be able to treat each other in that manner, not forgetting that you are a boss. Yes, no. When you are seated with us, it doesn't mean that you are forgetting yourself that you are a boss. But if you are a boss that is not sure of yourself, you will feel that you are being challenged. But no, you are not being challenged. And they must learn. You know, when you are seated with someone with the knowledge more than, even if it's my subordinate, I make it a point that I get that information as much as I can, because I am empowering myself.
From my side, I'm an administration clerk. I'm a final year law student. I have a wide spectrum of experience and knowledge across the South African Police Service. I've worked in various positions in the visible policing. The problem that we have in SAPS is incompetence. And that is because of nepotism. 99% of the people working in SAPS is part of family and friends, appointed in senior positions by the senior management families, and that's why SAPS is in the current situation it is in. I would suggest a complete verification of qualifications as well as identification, because as I said before, and I will say it again, we have people working in SAPS from other countries who are using fraudulent identification, and they were appointed by the families and friends who are in top positions in the management. You cannot qualify post and then just put someone to be a forensic social worker or one, because then these people are so arrogant when they are in those positions. They then start do what they're doing to the juniors. So I would, the Zondo Commission didn't touch on corruption in SAPS, not at all. I know commissions take money, it takes years and years, but it will be a very good exercise to also form a commission of inquiry into what is happening in SAPS, because now we have arrest of the Pathology. Pathology promoted people without advertising post. He just came to go around the country and just into a parade and say, now Patricia Mashale, you are now a general, without advertising post, without doing anything. And that's why we are sitting with the situations. We sit with generals who are in those positions, not even knowing the regulations, the act, the SAPS Act, or the procedures of SAPS. Unless those things are being done in SAPS, the problem is not going to go away. And also, I would also recommend the NPA to take action against these DPPs in provinces, especially in Free State Province. In Free State Province, we are sitting with a problem of Matluku and his wife, who are misusing and abusing the powers that they have in the NPA.
This has been extraordinary. I mean, in my previous upload on Molly Blackburn, I talked about what Angeles Arian said. She said, show up, number one. Listen for what is heart and meaning. Speak a truth without blame or judgment. And be open to outcome, not attached to it. Now, that last one is always a challenge, because when you are powerful, you want to control the outcome. You want to basically feel that you're in control, because then you're not doing your job. And I think in some ways that explains why people who have power, who aren't empowered, will be inclined to scapegoat and retaliate, because it threatens the outcome that they had in mind. You know, social workers try and be hard on the problem, gentle on the people. And I mean, it's a challenge, because I've probably been far too hard on some people. But when people do become the problem, that's where power has to be used with checks and balances. And that's why we have a system of democratic accountability. That's why we have courts. That's why we have processes. We have a Bill of Rights, all these sorts of instruments which are meant to hold people accountable who have power. I want to believe that we can still transcend our problems and find a way forward where our social institutions are transformed according to those values.